Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I would of course like to thank Rumiana for the invitation and all of you for this great event. And well, for me it's quite a challenge to show this in 20 minutes, but I know I'm not the only one, as I saw before. So I will show you a lot of slides, and probably won't go into detail everywhere. I want to maybe tell you a little bit about my background. I studied agricultural science and I studied ecology 10 years in different universities in Denmark, in Austria, and in Central America. And I got specialized in water chemistry. Specialty were radioactive labeled hormones and how we can get them out of the water. So I worked a lot with radioactive substances. And at a certain point I got somehow to the conclusion that it's not enough to examine water just on the quantities. So I want a little bit, maybe it's a little provocant, but it's a little bit like a statement that in modern science today, we had this in the last days, all our science is based on numbers. And we think, Rumiana said so beautifully in Oslo when I met her, that in water science when we test water, we test everything except the water. So we test all what is inside the water, but water is much more than just the content of the different substances we can examine. In ancient science, 2,500 years and older, like Pythagoras and before, there was another kind of research. And there was the research which has a value. And this is I want to emphasize a little bit today, how we can put this in new science. So, what is real quality? How can we describe quality? That's my question all my life so far. How can we examine this? And when I was still a student, a professor came to me and said, well, you're a little strange, you are somehow interested in many different fields. And he said I should read this book, and maybe you heard about this guy from Austria, his name is Victor Schauberger. It's about 100 years ago. He was just a forester engineer, so he was not like a scientist, but he saw that if you move water in a spiral, the whole property of water changes. And we haven't been talking so far yet in this conference about movement, I think, not so much. Because I see if I move water, it changes completely under the microscope. And the funny thing is, for example, if we make a vortex, and I think this vortex is very similar to harmonics in music. And, well, I travel a lot in my life, and I had the fortune to meet amazing scientists in Egypt. It's Dr. Ibrahim Karim, and he said, if you want to understand what you're doing in science, in water science, you have to study the law of music. First of all, what is music all about? Well, maybe a little bit about my background. I come from a music family. My father is a professor at the Mozarteum in the Conservatorium in Austria, so I had to learn many, many instruments. And now, today, actually, I'm quite happy about it because I think I can show a little bit what we do here. So, this first, very short, a very good friend of mine, Dr. Konstantin Korotkov, probably some of you know. He has a beautiful device, gas discharge visualization. I don't go so much in detail, but you have make here a big charge. And if you put your finger or whatever upon, you can literally suck the electrons out. And if you take a drop of water, you can see, works. Oh, 1 second. How like the electrons they can be filmed, how they are somehow sucked out of the droplet of the water. But the interesting thing is, if you make a spiral, and in this case I make a spiral, a vortex, and I used gold container. Gold changes the water incredible. If I look through the microscope, gold is just strange that it has such an influence on water structure. So this is just the same water after it has flown through a vortex, and then when the vortex comes together, there was a gold part. Well, we have heard about Dr. Emoto yesterday from Dr. Joan Pollack. I have quite a history with Dr. Emoto too. I invited Dr. Emoto 17 years ago to Austria. He invited me to Japan. It was like, 17, 18 years ago. And later, 1 year, 1.5 years later, I opened his laboratory in Europe. So I traveled with Dr. Emoto, I calculated this morning, 12 years around the world. It was a great time, and the great thing, Emoto told me, my job somehow is to show that his work can also be explained scientifically. When I went to Japan first, of course, it was great to have this invitation and come here, but I was very reluctant about his, his claims that when you pray to water and you put music to water and all this kind of thing, as a chemistry engineer, this is harsh stuff to accept, let's say like this. So I went to Japan, this is his books, he wrote many books. The funny thing also of Dr. Emoto, he said, I'm not reading books, I'm writing books. So he was just writing down what idea he had. And he has quite some books still his family could publish in the future. Anyways, the method is super simple. You have the little ice cube, you freeze it, and on the very top it's like a tuning fork. And if you magnify it 200 times, you can see like a quality. And for me, this is water can show. I have to watch the time. 20 minutes. It's until. Okay, to see. So for me, it's like water. The beauty of water is that it resonates on everything. I've made testing now. I'm making water research now 26 years, and I must say I have no idea about water at all. But still, it's amazing what you can see. And in the structure, you can see a beauty. Of course, many scientists say what you do is, this is a beautiful water of Japan and from all over the world. And maybe also a very, let's say, a little bit esoterical approach. What every culture, every human on earth, no matter if it's Japanese people or Austrian people or people from Tibet or people from Machu Picchu, they all had holy waters and normal waters. And the word holy actually comes from healing. And if you cannot explain it, of course you make a nice religion out of it. I went to Mecca, I'm not a Muslim. I couldn't go directly to the Medina because I'm no Muslim. But it's one of the most beautiful water I've ever tested. And I can say, well, this is nonsense, or I can look at it and try to find what it's all about. And I don't think that the Hopi Indian communicated with the Spanish people and said, let's make a holy water. But the interesting thing is that in the structure, the word cosmos actually means order. We say cosmos, the universe. So I think when information gets to a certain quality, and quality are for me the mathematical harmonics you find in music, water structure changes. So these are all different kinds of water I tested. I got more than 2,500 water samples from all around the world. A Russian astronaut came to me and said he had the water from outer space. I couldn't prove it's wrong, right? But I got this water too. So this is all kind of work. And yes, about Russia, also quite funny. Dr. Emoto was invited to Russia. He didn't want to go there because they copied all his books without asking him. So I went to Russia and I got stuck in Russia, and I went more than 40 times in my life already to Russia. I think this is amazing what research is going on there. So I think I would love to hear much more what I just heard before. Many people say to me or to us, what you're doing is not scientific because you got the same crystal. Of course we don't get the same crystal. Everybody of you knows that the water molecule makes a billion, actually in speed of light, connection every second. So water reacts on vibration, and vibration always changes, always. There's never the same vibration, it always changes. And for me, the most beautiful explanation of liveliness, vitality, is change in movement. So the moment the little water drop freezes, the information around, the vibration is unique, and the crystal is unique, of course. The same happens with a leaf out of the tree. If you take a huge tree, there are not two leaves which are the same. They maybe look all the same because it's the same maple tree, whatever. But if you examine the leaf, every leaf is different, even though they have the same DNA. So water is the facilitator of life, and life is change in movement. Here, I want to show you. Oh, so one second. I think it's here. Yes. No, I don't put the sound. I cannot. Here, I can do it. Okay. Well, because it takes too long. I just want to show when I came to Japan, I was of course very skeptical about all this research. And Emoto made, like he put love and gratitude and all kinds of things on the water. I said, this is still strange. And I tried to prove him wrong, and this is not my work today. But the interesting thing is, if I apply sound to water, everything changes. Sound and water is amazing, and I can just, everybody who's interested to make this research, it's so easy, simple, so cheap. You don't need big equipment for a couple of $1,000s. You can buy this equipment. But the interesting thing about the crystals is not the surrounding, it's the center. And the interesting thing in the center, Dr. Pollack said yesterday, very interesting thing about light fraction. And I see in the very center, there is like an exclusion zone coming. If you see this here, this is a water, normal osmosis water. Water which looks under the microscope normally not very nice. Osmosis water is the most stressed water normally, but you can very nice change it. And I don't know if the colors are good enough, but you see it here soon. Colors appear, and it's not Photoshop or something. So I can see in this special, let's call it holy water, or whatever kind of water you want to call it, or water exposed to qualities like this gold and what is this, that the structure changes very much.
Is this only with the time? Or
this is the real time. If I put now let it run, it's just real time.
sound? No sound?
Well, I can put the sound, then you can listen to the sound, but then I have no time for my speech. This is just music from Maria Callas, exposed to this, and it changed the water. And the funny thing is, yesterday we had beautiful music, and I don't think that you like music. It's your body who likes music. Your brain. Yeah, well, it's just like this, that we are music. We are, I'll come a little later to it, we have 5 fingers, we're 2/3 water, we are, the 5th dimension is the dimension of quality, and we react on sound. That's very simple. The word person derives from Latin, from personare, maybe the Italiano can confirm this, my expression is not so good, but so it's meaning sound coming through. So we are sound. So let's go. So when I make testing with sound, vortexes, sound, for me that's quite similar. That was the study I did conducted with the St. Petersburg University with Dr. Korotkov. There is a change. Okay, let's jump a little bit further. I thought, well, I tried to find different methods to prove that water is more than the sum of the content. Okay, and I think, and then when I met Rumiana, I thought, wow, that's it. So that's a new way and another way, and I hope the most scientific way to prove that there's much more than just H2O and some anomalies we try to explain. A beautiful way to examine water is also dark field microscopy. It's very simple. You just make small droplets and you let it dry and you look under the structure. And a lot of, let's say, alkaline water normally shows very organic structures, and acid water many times has very rigid. I don't have time to show this. I have thousands of pictures. My work is not so statistically. I worked a lot with statistics. I made 2 master degrees with all statistics. And today I'm just curious looking through the microscope. So you can prove me wrong with everything I show you here. That's fine for me too. The interesting thing is, if I take a drop of your saliva and you feel fine, you have a cosmos, you have an order in your structure. And if you feel bad, it changes. And I can do this with many people, before and after treatment, whatever treatment, you can see a change. Of course, you don't have to make a diagnosis, because that would be like in Turkey when you take a cup of coffee, turn it around, and you predict the future. I think if you have kidney problems, go to the hospital, of course. But for me, it's interesting that, and we tested this in Russia also, that we took the saliva under the microscope, we treated the person, and we saw that the saliva changed. It was taken before the treatment. So there is a connection. We had some discussion about this. So quality is out of time, I think. And you can do this with many, how do you say, testings. I thought, if there is a holy water, a healing water, I want to test, it must be the amniotic liquid of a pregnant woman. So, and I got samples. I'm father of 4 kids, so the first 2 kids, my wife said I should get lost, but the 3rd and the 4th I could take samples. And I wanted to examine the influence of ultrasound to the amniotic liquid, because I want to be a little scientific too, and ultrasound is a beautiful measurement I can apply. But every woman, probably here also some women, when they were pregnant and they got exposed to ultrasound, they were not quite happy. They say, oh, I don't like it. And you find many pictures in the internet where the children, they close their ears, sorry. Because the ultrasound is a pulsed vibration, it's always the same. And now I conduct a lot of experiments with 5G, which is coming now. We have 4G on the telephone. and this is destroying the whole structure. So we are making big experiments with our population today when we get this 5G. So just like 5G, this is the new mobile phone where you have up to 100 times more data and power. But the ultrasound, of course, the ultrasound is a wonderful technique. It saves life. I don't want to say we should abandon it. But of course, you should not lay all night listening to ultrasound because it's stress for the body. For me, the most beautiful explanation of life is change in movement. My main work today is the translation of heart rate variability into sound and light. You know, the more variable your heartbeat is, the more healthy you are. The more similar your heartbeat is, the closer you are to a heart attack. This is heart attack vibration, literally, because there is no variation anymore. If you apply this short, it doesn't matter, but we are exposed. Last when I was in Narita Airport, I think I had 35 different viral slam exposed to. There's quite some stress we have everywhere. But I want to show ultrasound, it changes the structure. So this is amniotic liquid, with ultrasound it changes. But the interesting thing is it changes, of course, very differently according to how the woman herself feels. So the influence of the mind is very strong here too. Okay, I jump a little further. So the ultrasound actually is like a sinus wave. And the sinus wave, if you have a smoke detector, you don't sit at home and say, well, let's listen to the smoke detector. You will all run out because it's a sinus wave and it hurts you. In nature, we don't have sinus waves because every wave you make immediately creates overtones. And the overtones, that's the quality. And that's where I want to go now. Okay, well, another thing I do, I produce different products. This is how I can make my living, to be free. I don't want to get paid by a company telling me what result I have to get. I'm just a little bit hard because I know I worked in university, companies paid us, and we're not always so free as we want to be. We need good partners. What I want to show you here, this is LED light, and you can see here in the LED light is pulsed light. And this, of course, the LED is probably one of the future light, but LED is stress for us because it's like techno music, bum, 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 there's no variation. But we developed a light, you can see here, it's also LED, that's an oscilloscope, and it's completely calm. So maybe there are companies in the future who are interested in that field. Yes? Okay. So, going further, the quality of vibration. What is quality? We talk a lot about vibration. Nowadays, a lot of people talk about 440 Hertz, 432 Hertz. Maybe you heard about that. If you have here two violins, this violin from China, from eBay, costs $16. This violin is from Stradivari, it costs more than $1 million. Both make the same vibration. I can tune it to 400 Hertz, 432 Hertz, whatever. But why are they so different? The difference are the overtones, and I want to go a little bit in detail. This is an experiment where you expose water to a sound source. It's from a wonderful gentleman from Germany. His name is Alexander Lauterwasser. Lauterwasser actually means water listening to water. So it's a funny name he has actually. So you have here a droplet of water. You have a lamp which is flashing maybe several hundred times a second. You see here 30 point whatever vibration. You have 30.2462. Now the interesting thing is, if I apply this vibration once again, I get a different structure. Why? Because this machine is quite inaccurate. It can just make 4 digits below 0. But the smaller the vibration gets, the bigger the impact on the form-giving process. And that's the amazing thing. That's where life comes from. So we have to look on the quality, and our machines will always be limited because we cannot produce life. So, and life means that one vibration interacts with another one. That's coherence, actually entrainment. And so that's like a blueprint. And so this is just a nice picture where you can see water reacts on vibration right away, and you can see it. This is a nice experiment. Sometimes it looks like a living force, a living being, like a caterpillar here. This is just a vibrating plate. So let's go. And this Egyptian gentleman, Dr. Karim, said, as I said before, if you want to understand vibration, we all talk about vibration, good vibration, bad vibration, harmonics and resonance. Start to study sound. This is the first calculator of humankind. It's just a string. And if you pull the string, you get quantities and qualities. What does it mean? As I said before, if you play a sound, if you close your eyes and your brother or your father sings a note, and they sing the same frequency, you can distinguish that's my father, that's my brother, that's my mother, because of the different emphasis of the overtones and the quality of the overtones. And you see, she sings this note, but these are all the notes we can record. And this lady, this wonderful lady from Germany, she can sing overtone. In China, you have, or in Siberia, you have people that can sing two overtones at the same time to a basic tone. I love singing overtone. I'm maybe too shy to sing overtone here, but when I'm drunk, you can hear it. So that's mathematical numbers, and even if you have no scientific background, you will immediately hear if the overtone is right or wrong, because we can distinguish with our ear 20 times more exactly vibration than with our eyes. Okay, so if you have here a string, it vibrates. If you press the finger here, this string vibrates twice as fast. And if I press the finger here, this vibrates twice as fast. What is the mathematical sign for infinity? It's a laying 8. So it comes from music, of course. So the information is no matter to size. So if you read the letter A, big on the wall, small on your book, you read the same information. And water has the ability to react on information. And the interesting thing is, the smaller this waves get, the bigger the impact on the quality of the water. You can imagine you sit like Loriot in the bathtub and you make a big wave, you have a wave, but you have many small waves. And the smaller the waves on the main wave, that's where the quality is. Okay, so let's go further. Resonance, we heard this before, very simple. You have a tuning fork, the other tuning fork resonates if it's the same tuning, different tuning doesn't resonate. If it's the same, just 1 octave or million octave higher, it resonates. You can continue doing this. This is from the Fraunhofer Institute. I don't know if they know what they have observed here, but my opinion is these are muscle cells you cut out, you look under the microscope, there's no human being now there or whatever, but the muscle cells still vibrate, and they vibrate in the Schumann frequency. So Mother Earth is vibrating. If you make a fist and you shake, and I put a piezometer here and I measure it, you shake between 8 and 12, 14 hertz. So Mother Earth is vibrating, and probably you, and there maybe, I don't think it's only the infrared making the EC. I think the infrared is like the engine putting the energy into the EC water. But maybe the Earth is kind of a conductor. Maybe not. Prove me wrong, or prove it by yourself, I don't know. But there's a similarity. Okay, and the funny thing is you can do it by a mouse, an elephant, and a human, it doesn't matter. We are all children of this planet, so we resonate with our planet, of course. Okay, so we can do this continuously. And translation, sound into light, we can use this formula, and this is the mathematics I do. I have no time to explain this in detail, but I'm looking for the perfect sound. There are a lot of different harmonics. But actually Plato, 2,350 years ago, already calculated it right. He didn't have the calculator we have today. We have mathematics starts by 1. We double it, 1, 2, 4, 8. These are all the octaves. Yes? They get the Tesla numbers, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, if you put them together. The second is the 5th. If you put this together, you get to the 4th dimension of time. Time, you get the number 3 and 6. And all the other numbers always get 9. If you put this number together, I cannot see it so good here, 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 0 plus 4, and you calculate this together somewhere, you get always the 9 sound. I don't see it so good here. So I was calculating the perfect sound here. And then, this is my favorite topic, the secret of the fifths. In German we say a Quintessenz, in English we say 2. We are 2/3 of water. How many fingers do we have? We have 5. The whole symbol of every culture of the woman was a pentagram. I don't have time to go through this, but holy geometry, you can go directly into music. This is a circle. A circle, 360 hertz, 360 degrees. You can emit the sound. It doesn't come the sound. Hey, where's my sound? Okay, sorry for this loudness. I can take a pentagram, 108 degrees times 5, 540. So the pentagram to the circle is the interval of the fifths. So nature expresses itself in vibration. The shape is another form of sound. So the circle and the square, both 360, if you multiply 360 by 3 divided by 2, you get the fifths. Do, re, mi, fa, so. And what you get? Oh, the audio is not so good here. But anyways, you see that there is it. The hexagon. The hexagon is the octave of the circle. When I make a water crystal, it's a needle. And then suddenly the needle becomes a hexagon. To observe this is beautiful. That's so beautiful. And then the colors appear. And this is, I think beauty has to enter science again. Otherwise we kill the mice until the end of the day. Okay. So the hexagon is the octave. Sorry for the sound. But the interesting thing in the crystals is the center. And there is the quality. All this around is decoration, like for Christmas. But this is the quality here. So if I calculate all this, calculate this always further. I don't have time detail to explain this. I come to the ultraviolet and I can come to the infrared. And in between, I come to the light. So I can translate light, sound, light. In English we say sound color. Don't we say so? Strange, huh? Sound color. So word in literature, word meaning is quite funny. So when we play piano, we play actually sound. And the chakras, amazing. The Indian people, how did they know? They didn't have my computer. If I calculate, everything starts by 1. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, and we are by Do. I continue, I come to green. So every starts by 1. We have chakra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But this actually is 1. I think they made a mistake in translation during time. But if I translate 1, it becomes green. And I think it starts from the heart, not from the root chakra. But that's okay, we can discuss that. Now my main work today is the translation of heart rate variability into sound and color. You know heart rate variability? Very short for them who doesn't know it. Heart rate variability is ancient knowledge from China, 2,000 years old. They knew already the more variable your heartbeat, the better. And what do? I take the heart frequency from the parasympathetic and the sympathetic state, translate it into sound, translate it into light, and you experience your own uniqueness in sound and in light. And if I look at your saliva, whatever liquid I can get a hand on, it changes. So the heart is, of course, more than a stupid pump. And you can do this. And in the spa, we are going now, the next days, I'm going to present this in detail. But the beauty is, what I want to show is that two people connect by the heart and separate by the brain. The moment you think, your heart closes. I can show it on the screen. The moment you listen to your next one, you get coherent. I can show it scientifically. I can show it by coma patient. Everybody reacts like this when they hear their own heart vibration in sound and experience it in light. And my target with Ramyana-san is to translate your heart frequency in the future to the infrared. So, okay, this is it. And the very end, this is nice. It's just, I love to show this. This is a mom. She plays the violin, but not actually. It's her heart frequency. Another musician had played it. We recorded it. We cut it, put it on the computer. Her heart plays the keys. And the child plays the other instrument. The mother plays the viola. The mother plays the violin. And you can hear how the two hearts starts to interact. Sorry for this bad sound, we have to put another one. And the beauty is, that's back to Emoto's work, of course, that if I take the heart frequency, there's some more than just the beat, of course. I can see the quality, so this takes maybe too long. Oh, it doesn't stop. Okay, well, I'm sorry for so much information in so short time, but I say Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rasmus.
Do you have time for questions?
Of course we will do. But I just want to take the word just to say I've been dreaming of seeing Emoto's pictures proven and seeing some theory behind this. We are not yet there, but what you did today is just a start. Thank you very much, really. Thank you. Questions? Let's have some questions. Livia? Yeah.
If you ask me about quantum dynamics, I will become very pale.
Do you know why the muscle cells are oscillating under the Schumann frequency?
You know this.
Do you know why the muscle cells are oscillating under the Schumann frequency?
No, I just observe it and this is my assumption. And I see a relation. And maybe it's up to you to explain.
Because the Schumann frequency is the ion cyclotron frequency of H3O plus and its hydrates. Because the cytoplasm is full of water,
okay.
The ion cyclotron frequency of H3O plus escape ions H3O plus from coherent domains.
So your assumption is that the inner of the planet is full of water, and not of magma?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes, that's my, I think so too.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, go ahead.
One of the arguments to create the Northern theory was all this picture, also the result of the Japanese scientist Emoto. My question is, you describe, but do you have a tool to explain this harmonic picture? Do you have an apparatus of mathematical or physical theory which explains? Because we are sure that on the base of electromagnetic interaction, we cannot explain this harmony.
No, not at all.
Then we need another theory.